All right. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us following comedy at the BOE this morning. As always, we'll begin by sharing where our city stands in terms of our public safety metrics this morning. Homicides are down 33% compared to the same time last year, which you all know was a 20% historic 20% reduction. Non-fatal shootings are down 24%. And total violent crime is down 10% year over year. But I want to note and highlight that the past month of April, where we finished with 11 homicides, is the lowest since February of 2015, where we saw 13 homicides in Baltimore City in that time. And today, I do want to lift up a few items that were on the BOE agenda that deserve some attention. First, you'll notice that I'm joined by our fire chief, member, and our DGS director, and our chief recovery officer, because today the BOE approved $10 million of ARPA investment slated for the city fire department, its apparatus, and facilities. $4.1 million for DGS to utilize for BCFD improvements, facility improvements, including bathroom renovations and boiler and generator replacements. $1.2 million for DGS for roof repairs at multiple sites, and finally $4.7 million directly to BCFD to acquire life-saving equipment and reinforce safety standards. I'll turn it over quickly to Chief Wallace to talk about what that means for the women and men of the fire department. Mr. Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good morning, everyone. I'm delighted. I'm honored to be here this morning for what I consider to be a historical moment, not only for the city of Baltimore, but for the Baltimore City Fire Department. I want to first start by expressing my deepest gratitude to Mayor Scott, the Chief Recovery Officer, the City Administrator, and the administration for hearing our requests and supporting and committing to the Baltimore City Fire Department and actually to the well-being of our community. This significant investment of $10 million in ARPA funding will greatly enhance the capabilities of the Baltimore City Fire Department, allowing us to acquire critical state-of-the-art life-saving equipment and to improve safety measures for our emergency services personnel and the community that we serve. These strategic allocations will strengthen our operations, ensuring that we can continue to provide the highest level of service and protection to the residents and city of Baltimore. I'll just expand a little bit. The mayor touched on it. $4.1 million directed towards vital facility improvements. These are going to include bathroom renovations, replacement of boilers, heating systems, as well as standby generators at some of our firehouses. But this will ensure that our firefighters and paramedics have the necessary resources needed to carry out their life-saving work effectively. In addition to the $1.2 million that DGS is going to have to work on buildings, we're going to do multiple roof replacements and roof repairs. Finally, $4.7 million being allocated towards strategic acquisitions of life-saving equipment, reinforcing safety standards our firefighters and emergency medical personnel follow, and further improving our service to the broader community of Baltimore. This investment will include the following. First, a complete overhaul of our self-contained breathing apparatus, including the items that we need to not only maintain, calibrate some systems, and repair the breathing apparatus itself, but also maintain the training level that our breathing apparatus technicians have. Secondly, acquisition of 80 thermal imaging cameras, which will assist firefighters and emergency services personnel during times of zero visibility conditions inside of a structure fire, as well as providing a means by which our personnel will be able to locate those in just zero visibility conditions overall. You might remember me speaking of thermal imaging technology during the Key Bridge incident. These devices are very similar to what was being used there, so we're purchasing 80 additional thermal imaging cameras. Finally, acquisition of 17,000 feet of 4-inch supply hose for our reserve apparatus. You'll notice on the back of fire apparatus, there's a large stack of thick hose on the back of that. That's supply line. That's what we use to connect the hydrants and bring water to the fire incident. Currently, we do not have that capability on our reserve apparatus. So when we change over from frontline apparatus to reserve apparatus, that process can take well over 4 hours, and it's very, very demanding on our firefighters. We're going to use this 17,000 feet of hose, and we're going to pre-stage it on the reserve apparatus to cut down on the time that they're out of service and also cut down on the heavy load on our fire department personnel. In conclusion, I want to again reiterate my sincerest thank you to Mayor Scott and his entire administrative team for their continued commitment to the Baltimore City Fire Department and to the communities we serve. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chief. We know this is going to make a huge difference for our department as they go out to protect and save lives each and every day. We know there's already been significant attention to the announcement today, and just want to reiterate how proud we are to be able to get this done for our members who go out and do that life-saving work. We all know that it's been a very, very tough few years for the fire department. They've endured more tragedy and unexpected loss than we see in a long, long time, but they've shown exemplary service, toughness, and dedication throughout that, continuing to do their work each and every day. And I cannot stress enough my appreciation to each and every one of them for what they do for us in Baltimore. With that, the second item that I'd like to address is even the bigger item for today, the removal of owner-occupied homes from the tax sale list again this year. Today, we approved at the BOE our provision for this removal ahead of the tax sale later this month. I'm proud to say that this will be the fourth time that we are removing owner-occupied homes from the tax sale, meaning every single time I've overseen the tax sale, we have removed them. The revision does specifically focus on owner-occupied homes assessed under $250,000, just as it did last year, but I want to be clear that that covers the vast majority of impacted residents. In fact, there are approximately 221 of the 279 neighborhoods that will have properties removed from the list based on this announcement. I also want to reiterate that while the protection of owner-occupied homes is important each year, we're also doing the work to address this on a larger scale. We created that tax sale work group in 2021, focused on comprehensively reforming the tax sale process. Their work is seeking to identify current gaps in the system and find solutions that the process can be more equitable ongoing. And I want to take an opportunity to thank all of the advocates and elected officials who deeply care about this issue for making their voices heard and standing in alignment with us in the effort to protect home-occupied families and the families who live in them. And lastly, I just want to direct attention to the Be More Shines program approved at the BOE today, which aims to reduce gas and electric expenditures for low-income residents through rooftop solar installation, create high-paying solar installation job training opportunities, and attract private investment for low-income residential rooftop solar installation. 80% of the program's recipients are below the 200% of poverty, and 20% have household incomes that are 80% and below of the AMI area media income. This is not only going to help lower bills for our residents, it's going to help our city meet our climate and sustainability goals, which we know is equally important. With that, I will open it up for questions.
Start with that one from Sutton.
Mayor, there's been protesters on the Hopkins campus for a couple of days now. We saw police move in overnight at Columbia to move in to take control of the campus. What is your plan if Hopkins requests DPD to move in on their campus?
Yeah, we obviously put out a statement last night, and I'll reiterate that. We've been monitoring that situation and talking with the individuals at the university, and will continue to be in contact with them. We have communicated that the city of Baltimore stands with everyone's First Amendment right to protest, and barring escalation, we know that BPD is always ready to move when necessary, but that will only be done in the proper time.
An escalation would be what would spur that? I mean, are you mandated to respond if Hopkins requests it?
Well, listen, the police department, we know that they are formulating their own police department, which they don't have just yet. So the city of Baltimore's police department is the authority that would have to respond for public safety measures.
This morning, and we heard it a little bit earlier this week too, but Sheriff Kogan was on the radio talking about his endorsement of of Sheila Dixon, and he said that he doesn't feel like he has a partner with you inside City Hall. He said that he tried to use diplomacy with you when it comes to working on funding for the Sheriff's Department. Can you explain what exactly happened and if there was a breakdown in that relationship?
There's no breakdown. We work with the members and the sheriff's members every day. We'll continue to do that despite the sheriff playing public safety, politics with public safety. What I will say again, and the sheriff knows this to be true, the sheriff wanted to do something without including the bargaining unit, the FOP leadership that is elected by his sheriff's deputies to move forward with that. I'm not with that. We're always going to work with the unions that represent those people. And when I personally invited her to join a meeting, she made it very clear to me that this is not the way that she and her members wanted this to happen. The sheriff may disagree with that, but as someone who always is going to respect the process that has to happen, and he knows that I myself said that I would stand with them and that bargaining unit of the FOP that represents the sheriffs in Annapolis to allow them to bargain their wages when a bill is implemented, he knows that to be true. Everything else is just politics, and I don't play politics with public safety, and we're going to continue to work with the sheriff's office. BPD will continue to work with the sheriff's office no matter what. People may play politics with public safety, Mackenzie, I don't.
Do you believe that the Sheriff's Office is a vital tool that City Hall can use when it comes to fighting?
Well, it's not about City Hall. This is about the city of Baltimore, and we do use them, right? We use them consistently. We partner with them consistently every day. We're going to continue to do that, even with the politics that is being played. I think the residents of Baltimore will be very intrigued that all of this is coming out literally 3 or 4 days before voting starts. This is plain old school politics. I don't play politics with public safety.
Janine?
In the Board of Estimates meeting, you guys were talking about, or there was mention about a pool supplier, the pool maintenance. Are the pools going to open this year? And the scope of work that was attempting to be completed, will that be completed by summer?
Janine, I look forward to seeing you when I jump in the pool, as we always do for the big splash. The pools will open, and pools that, for example, we talked about this a few weeks ago, one that has been under construction will reopen this summer. We're going to open our pools. This is for our on-call contractor, just in case something goes wrong. And when you're talking about pools, everyone knows that no matter what, something's going to go wrong during the pool season, and we need to make sure that we have our folks ready to address that when it happens. But yes, we will be having the big splash. I look forward to seeing you there.
Adam?
Question about the ARPA money.
Yeah.
Does that $10 million come out of the pending projects pool, or is that a separate allocation?
Yeah, before I'll let Shamaya go into deeper mode, but I want to be very clear about this one, Adam. We've been talking and communicating with the fire leadership for quite some time about an investment into them. We've always said that we were going to be making adjustments, but also putting this money to use for what it was intended to, as we're coming out of the pandemic, to make sure that our cities are safer or healthier, and this is a direct use of that. And I know the residents of Baltimore, who love their fire department, is going to support us putting these investments into our department, which in some cases are years and decades overdue.
So for context, you're referencing the pending projects line. That's a part of Table 1 in the council report that we issue every month. Yes, this will be coming out of the pending project line, and you'll see that reduction reflected in the council report that we plan to publish next week.
One follow-up on that, I think for you. You've talked in the last couple of months about possible changes or reallocations to ARPA money. Any updates on the ORB's evaluations of the city's spending plan?
Yes, so in my last performance hearing, what I talked about was a comprehensive evaluation at the end of Q1, which would have been March 30th. Then, of course, we have to wait for the books to close and all of those things. So we are still going through that analysis. We do plan on providing more factual information about what projects may change or what reductions you might see in allocations in the coming weeks.
One more, Brian, because I have an infant to take to a doctor's appointment.
Can I ask a quick question?
Do we have WMAR, anybody in the back that didn't get one?
No.
Okay, great. And yeah, Janine?
Chief Wallace, I just wanted to ask you about the audit of the fire department and Office of Emergency Management. there were some recommendations made regarding the permitting process and the systems. Can you speak to that? The recommendations that you guys will be following and how that will improve residents' lives and being able to get permits?
Yeah, sure. And, it's an advantage to have an audit done, right? I've been in there since July. This gives me a good historical perspective. What I would say is my understanding of where we're at right now, this is going to go back years and years. It's data management, acquisition and retention is what it is. And we have multiple platforms right now that we work for the permitting process. And where we're going as a city, we're going to one platform so that we've got that continuity. We've got data that exists in a lot of different places. And the smallest mistake from one platform to the other, Pratt Street spelled out as opposed to Pratt ST, that stops that data and those platforms from actually talking, and comparing the same data with regard to addresses. So I'm very happy that we got that audit. I'm very happy with those findings. It gives us a good platform to build on and improve the agency. Yes, ma'am.
Now, I'll just add to that, Janine, just really quickly that, again, this is why we've been talking about this. As a part of the efforts that we've been doing since we got here, is updating the system, that permitting system. As you all know, we approved it at several BOEs ago for us to implement as we go through the end of the year, so that not just with the fire marshals and their permit, but housing and all these other permits, that everybody's on the same system. The importance of that can't be understated. The same way when we talked a few weeks ago about the tax system, right? That now the city having the first new tax system since the 1980s, when I was not even 10 or 5 or 6 years old, right? That we now have the same system as the state and the county, and what that allows us to do from a government operations standpoint. So when we see us doing this tough work that isn't sexy, that isn't going to get all the glitz and glamour, there is no ribbon cutting. But when you're talking about systems that have not been updated since I was in high school, and we're now doing that work, it will make Baltimore better, not just now, but for many years to come. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.